September theme, the power of words. We have no independent mind. There's only universal mind, but we have consciousness in that mind, and we have control. We have control. We have control over that consciousness. We have control over our own thoughts, and our thoughts make up our consciousness. The circle of compassion. The circle of compassion, until he extends the circle of compassion to all living things, man will not himself find peace. Albert Schweitzer.
In our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can feel those of your needs that you won't let show. So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me. When you're not strong, I'll be your friend. And I'll help you carry on. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just lean on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. Just like us not have a problem, but you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me. There is a load you have to bear that you can carry. I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Call me. When you need a friend. Call me. When you need a friend. When you need a friend. If you need a friend. Call me. Anytime, it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on, lean on, lean on me. Lean on me, yeah. You can lean on me. I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Somebody to lean
I believe that we've really had a call, a wake-up call, so to speak, to take another look at kindness and compassion. Yes, to all living beings. The other day, I was brought to very strong attention. There was a gentleman on the street corner waving his sign, looking for money, and holding a pup close to his chest. And Manny and I quite frequently carry cans of dog food in the car. We didn't have one that day. And it made me realize the importance of being mindfully aware that we can be truly helpful at unexpected times if we choose. And that means we have to plan ahead. It was kind of an interesting opportunity for me to learn, that there are more things to prepare for than sometimes I give credit to. We're each moving in our life into a seemingly individual pieces. And it's those threads of life that we're weaving. They're ours, or so we think. But if we really take a look at them, they're woven into that rich web of life. And we must be called to pay attention to the threads we have chosen and how we are using them. Yes, we're called to be mindful to the thought behind our words, and even more, the tone of our voice, our facial expressions, our physical stance. Love and compassion are decisions, not just an emotion. Today and every day, we have the opportunity to acknowledge the rich tapestry of life. And by acknowledging that, we acknowledge its total connection. We all share interrelationships and interdependence of psychological, biological, physical, social, cultural, spiritual phenomena. Yes, but let's look at it as the web of life, because it is always our choice to weave the threads of the loving energy shared with each other and all life forms. The circle of compassion really starts by blessing oneself and gradually expands outward, and eventually affirming good and loving intentions for our entire world, all beings, including the pups on the street corner, and even our seeming enemies. The Buddhist metta loving kindness prayer is simple but profound, and there are many variations of the prayer. What I'm going to share is the essence of that prayer from my perspective. And my feeling is, if we would all say this prayer or something similar to this prayer, if we would do it with a heartfelt sincerity and energy, the world would shift, and it could experience a holy shift, and in many ways become a different place. So to begin, my heart fills with loving kindness. Let's take a deep breath in. My heart fills with loving kindness. I love myself. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be free. And then, may all beings in my vicinity, city, state, country, continent, hemisphere, and planet Earth be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May my parents, chosen family, friends, and enemies be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. May all beings in the universe be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free. If I have hurt anyone, knowingly or unknowingly, in thought, word, or deed, I ask for forgiveness. If anyone has hurt me knowingly or unknowingly, in thought, word, or deed, I extend my forgiveness. May all living beings everywhere, whether near or far, whether known to me or unknown, be happy. May they be well. May they be peaceful. May they be free.
Daily word. My kind thoughts and deeds are a blessing. Today, I bring the love and peace of God to all of my encounters by being thoughtful, more than politeness and deeper than kindness. Thoughtfulness means I consider the comfort and happiness of others equal to my own. My intention is to let those in my life know what they mean to me. I may reach out to someone who needs an encouraging word, letting them know they have what it takes to succeed. I may surprise someone with a kind act, anticipating a need, and taking care of something for them before they ask. Even thoughtful word and act, let those in my life know how important they are to me and how worthy they are of time and attention. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to a Creator. Hebrews 13, verse 16. Yesterday, I went to visit my brother. He's in a nursing type home where he's being taken care of for now due to an infection in his foot. Rev J made me go buy cookies for the gentleman next to him plus Frankie. I gave the cookies to the gentleman next to him, and you should have seen how his eyes were just glittering with love and thankfulness. He's had no visitors at all, but we say hi to him, visit him, and speak with him a little bit because he doesn't like to talk much. Then yesterday again, we went and we took him some little lemon cookies that were fresh out of the oven. And his eyes just glittered with loving kindness. And of course, he had two of them right off the bat and said, they are so good. Lemon is my favorite. So talk about being kind. So Rev J blessed me by having me do that. So I am blessed. Thank you for that. Little boy and the old man. Said the little boy, sometimes I drop my spoon. Said the old man, I do that too. The little boy whispered, I wet my pants. I do that too, laughed the old man. Said the little boy, I often cry. The little man, so do I. But worst of all, said the boy, it seems grown-ups don't pay attention to me. And he felt the warmth of the wrinkled old hand. I know what you mean, said the old man. Shel Silverstein.
I have a lot of memories from when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me, though, was when I was about 10 years old, and I was in school, and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen and focus and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there and then I would just start tapping. And the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, hey, stop tapping. A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually even the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, Clint, you have to stop tapping. It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands. And so I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on my hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, he looked at me and he yelled. And he said, Clint, stay after class. And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me, and I will never forget it. And so I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. And he walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, "Clint, come here, I want to talk to you." And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, "Now, I need you to know something, you're not in trouble, but I do have just one question that I have to ask you." And he asked, he said, "Have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Clint, you're not a problem. I think you're a drummer." From that moment on, I've never put those sticks down. I've toured, recorded, and played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me and he saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and being the best for the world.
Wow. So at this moment, may we release and let go. Yes, let go of our fears, our anger, our self-doubts, our regrets, and our judgments. If only for a second, then a minute, then an hour, then a day. Let the light of this candle open our heart minds and light our path to the loving circle of compassion and peace. And we light our candle.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, gotta let it go. Gotta let it all go. Are you listening? You got to let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open free. Then let me hear you say yes. Yes. Yes, I'm only here for God. I know.
There's not a doubt in my perception that he is here only for God. I so enjoy that song sung by him. Of course, I like it by others as well, but he's got the energy. We're going to talk today about the circle of compassion. And I was, as so often happens for me, I accidentally ran across this picture on Instagram. And I have no idea who did it or what, why, or how come, but there it was. And then I happened to look up Circle of Compassion and found out that the title of that Circle of Compassion was inspired by an African pastor. And I read just a little bit about it, but the compassion moving as a circle made so very much sense to me. Sometimes we give, other times we receive, and quite often we don't even notice that the giving is the gift to us. We're blessed in both the receiving and the giving. And that's what allows that circle to continue from me to family, to tribe, to nation, to the web of life, and all of the planet. It really, for some odd reason, reminded me, as did the song we showed with all those wonderful quote unquote animal pictures. I did a memorial service, it was about 20 years ago, I think. And it was for an elderly gentleman. And there, after the service, I noticed that a man was sitting there with a dog carrier. And I couldn't see the dog, but I assumed it was a dog. And I went up to the gentleman and I said, was this his dog? And the fellow said, yes. And I said, well, thank you so much for taking care of this dog now. He's got to be grieving, and that's wonderful that you're taking care of him. And he didn't look at me when he said, I'm taking him to the shelter today. I took this deep breath in, and I said, isn't there anyone in the family that can care for this pup? He said, he's going to the shelter. I took a deep breath in, and I remembered I had a German Shepherd and a cat. My next thought was, may I take the dog? And I spoke it out loud. In 22 seconds, that dog was in my case, was in my hand, and the fellow was out the door. Well, I didn't even know the pup's name. So I hurried after him and I said, could I have his name, please, or hers? Gus. Never turned around, never looked at me, just kept on going. I was a little bit judgmental, to say the least. And then I had to realize that man was grieving. And I truthfully don't know the relationship to the fellow that had passed, but that man was grieving. So I got in the car and I opened up the case a little bit because I didn't know what I had in there. And this little pup had its face in the corner in the way back of the case. All I could see was its butt. So I zipped it back up and I said a prayer. And I said, please, Spirit, guide me as to how to care for this pup. And then I said a prayer that the gentleman release and let go. Well, for 2 months, that pup lived under my bed, except it did go outside to go potty, thank goodness. But I had to leave water under the bed for him. I had to put the food under the bed for him. And I would get down, I would lay flat so that I could be under the bed a little bit with him, not pushing him, and talk to him and so forth. And then one morning I got up and he was sitting in the doorway, sitting straight up looking at me. And I said, Uncle Gus, it's good to see you. And he stood up and he wagged his tail. And I walked over to him and he let me pick him up. And we went into the kitchen and I fixed his breakfast and he ate in the kitchen with me. I know it may sound like a little bit of a story, but it is, and it's a memory that I hold in my heart. And if I stop to think about it, I was a grateful receiver. Yes, I was hesitant. Yes, I thought about it twice, but I was the grateful receiver. So we have to recognize sometimes the whole circle of compassion begins within ourselves, within me, within you. You know, I was very judgmental about bringing that little dog home to a German Shepherd. I was very judgmental about the fact that the dog did not appear to be identifying with me. I was constantly struggling in my mind as to what to do and how to do. And then one morning, it shifted. You know, we're very blessed. Our community, even through the whole COVID experience and the recovery, seeming recovery, our community is generous. Every person in our community has always been generous in thought, word, prayer, action, beautifully so. So yes, we are mindful, but are we mindful of our struggles? Do we respond to ourselves with compassion and kindness and gentle support in challenging times? When we do that, things start to change. That night before Uncle Gus came out from under that bed, I said, thank you that I was the person at that memorial service and that I went and talked to that young man. I said, thank you. We can learn to embrace ourselves and our lives from an entirely different perspective. Despite our seeming and our outer imperfections, we can provide ourselves with the strength needed to thrive, not just endure. The truth is, when we let go of our fears, our anger, our self-doubts, our regrets, when we actually let them go, we are giving ourselves an opportunity to be self-compassionate. And I don't know that we often recognize the importance of that. However, years ago, I happened to run across an exercise of Linda Graham's. And then I expanded it for myself, for my awareness, to bring in a new perspective and an acceptance of an experience of self-compassion. Any moment that you notice a surge of a difficult emotion, it could be boredom, it could be contempt, it could be remorse, it could be shame, it could be, oh, you name it. Begin with a pause. Take a deep breath in. Put your hand on your heart. And take a couple of gentle breaths. Go ahead, you can do it now if you choose. This activates the release of oxytocin, the hormone of safety and trust. It's activated by the breathing and the hand over the heart. Then emphasize the experience. Recognize the discomfort. And say to yourself, this is upsetting. This has been challenging. Or this is scary. Or this is painful. Or ouch, this hurts. Or something similar. Honestly acknowledge and care about yourself when experiencing something distressing. Then pause. Take in another deep breath and repeat phrases similar to what I'm going to share. May I be kind to myself in this moment. This really releases the fear reaction, the negative, loopy thoughts that we all can process from time to time. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I accept this moment exactly as it is. William James, who's considered the founder of American psychology, said, be willing to have it so. Acceptance of what has happened is the first step to overcoming the consequence of any misfortune. May I accept myself exactly as I am in this moment. From human psychologist Carl Rogers, the curious paradox is when I accept myself as I am, then I can change. Whoa. Then I can change. May I give myself all the love and the compassion I need. Compassion is a resource for resilience. Remember, you are deserving of your own compassion as much as anybody else that you know, that you think about, as others are. You are deserving of it. It begins within you. Then continue repeating the deep breaths, repeating the phrases. You can feel an internal shift. Compassion, kindness, and loving care for yourself becomes stronger than that original, seemingly negative, fearful emotion. Pause again. Calmly reflect on your experience. Then take another deep breath in and ask Holy Spirit, what is the most loving thing I need to know? Pause, breathing. Hear the answer. What is the most loving thing I need to do? Pause, breathing. Hear the answer. In this process, we are releasing the blocks to our inner spiritual truth. We're accepting our inner strength. And now there is truly a willingness for self-care. Self-care, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. With that willingness, there is an entire different perspective. If we're self-compassionate, we're going to be motivated. We're going to be motivated to reach our goals, not because we're inadequate as we are, but because we care about ourselves and we want to reach out to fulfill our potential and our purpose. We remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we have been called here to this time. And in so doing, we'll recognize that call because we'll experience a greater happiness. We'll experience healthier relationships, physical well-being, less anxiety, depression. When we release these things, when we really let them go, as Michael Gott's saying, when we do that, now we have a space within our heart mind that lovingly guides us to be genuinely compassionate of others. And in so doing, we remember we are only here for God. I believe that one of the many lessons of our material world experience is teaching us that we are here because we have that purpose. And yes, that purpose is expressed uniquely by each of us having this human experience. Yet we're all connected within this web of life. And through that connection, we are here to live each day with a truly compassionate heart for ourselves, for our family, for our chosen family, and more. This doesn't mean, well, remember, our purpose is unique for each of us. So I'm not going to tell you how to be compassionate, but I am going to make a few suggestions here. It doesn't mean that we have to slide into somebody's pit of depression. Friend, family member, neighbor, we don't have to slide down into that to be with them. Our responsibility is to hold the ladder, put the ladder out to help them up. Yes, sometimes they don't want to take a step, but we are here to affirm for others and ourselves, I hold you in the compassion of my heart. Stay muted and repeat after me. I hold you in the compassion of my heart. Repeat it again. I hold you in the compassion of my heart. Now, I am compassion. Go ahead. I am compassion. I am compassion. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said compassion is a characteristic of love and mercy prompted by an understanding heart. A compassionate mind sees the error but does not condemn. So when we are compassionate, we are using, sharing, feeling the power of love. It is one of the powers which are the expression of divine spirit and energy within us. Unity teaching says that compassion is attracting a harmonizing power. Think back to that web of life. Think back to those strands that you are sharing. When you feel a genuine loving care for anyone, even if they don't seem to return it, you will still have that peace within you. Is there someone in your life whose lifestyle has reached a point where you know they truly need to change? Out of love, you went to them and told them. You needed to tell them, you know you are correct, but they are really resistant. I've been there. I've done that. This is the time for us to release and to let go of our judgment, even though it was made out of love. We have to let go of being right, because that opens our heart, mind, and we return to that compassion that I am. Compassion is how we stay out of the pit and hold the ladder with love and spiritual wisdom. You've heard that if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Stay in the power of love. Use your spiritual discernment. Many of us will remember the story in scripture when Jesus was with that group of people that wanted to stone the accused adulteress. And Jesus said, "He without sin cast the first stone." And everybody moved away. Then Jesus spoke to the woman and said, "Neither do I condemn thee. Go thy way." His compassion saved her and saved that circle around her that had reacted. Another story that I remember was from my grandfather, the Irish one. He served in World War I. And I remember him telling me the story of a Christmas night in 1914 in World War I. And many of you may be familiar with that as well. The German soldiers left their foxholes, stood up, and began singing Silent Night. The Allied soldiers joined them in that song, a song of dedication, a song of love, a song of a holiday that they were all missing. Actual gifts were really exchanged by some. And yes, the war did continue the next day. However, for that night, this group of men shared compassion, brought in a moment of peace because of their willingness to let down their defenses and to be present and recognize something bigger than them. I believe that we have a responsibility to express our own individual experience of the divine. We do. We have to be ourselves. We have to be true to ourselves. We have to experience our own experience of God through the guidance and the direction of Holy Spirit. And in so doing, we support others. That's how we can say, "I am compassion." Myrtle Fillmore said that as you do this, you will touch the reality of individuals and you will invite only the best from them. It isn't that we each have good in us. It is that all of us are good. If divine spirit is love, is compassion, and we are expressing the divine, then we stand strong when we say, "I am compassion." Say it again. I am compassion. Thank you. Remember the power of your words.
A.D. Williams once said, "Imagine what 7 billion humans could accomplish if we loved and respected one another." Just imagine. Imagine if there was no greed. Imagine if there was no comparison. If everyone was running their own race, but cheering for all others at the same time. Maybe we'll never see that in our lifetime. But what we all can do is start with ourselves. Start with yourself. Choose to lift others up. Choose to set the example of kindness and integrity, the example of compassion and understanding. There's a quote that says, "No matter how educated, talented, rich, or cool you believe you are, how you treat people ultimately tells all." Integrity is everything. It really is. Who you are is far more important than what you have, and it will always be. Who you are is measured by how you make others feel. Be kind to each other. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. Choose to be the change you wish to see in the world. Decide you will not wait for someone else. You will set the example. Be kind. Because you never know how much that person is suffering inside. You never know the difference your words can make, the difference your presence can make, the difference you can make to one human life. Be the reason someone believes in the goodness of humanity. Be the reason someone else decides to make a difference in others. Be the influence you want to see more of. always do what is right, not what is easy in the moment. Kindness spreads like a virus. When you do good to another, that person does better to those they come in contact with. You really can make a big difference in the world today and every other day. Anne Frank said, in the long run, the sharpest weapon of all is a kind and gentle spirit. No one has ever made themselves great by showing how small another is. Be kind and always build others up to the best of your ability. Treat everyone with the same level of kindness that you would like for yourself. Not because everyone is nice, but because you are. Because karma makes no mistakes. Because it is right. Because you have integrity. Because you want this world to be better when you leave than when you arrive.
As we share love, peace, compassion, and brotherhood through affirmative prayer, our thoughts, our words, our actions, we will make the world a better place, a safer place for all. In the 12-step version that's of St. Francis' prayer, it says, grant that I may seek rather to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds meaning. It is by forgiving that one is forgiven. It is by dying to ego self that one awakens to eternal truth and life.
Donations gratefully accepted at our website, at PayPal, or by mail. And take the imaginary check or funds, put them over your heart. Send them a lot of love, divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I willingly give and all that I am open to receive. And we are grateful and appreciative.
Course of Course continues twice a month. If you have some curiosity about the course, just give me a call or email me and we can visit about it. Or if you want an introduction to the course, we can do a couple-day program on that as well. Now, Wednesday night is International Day of Peace. We're going to do a sacred circle on Zoom, and it's going to be at 7 o'clock. I really hope that you will join us because, as the Dalai Lama said, peace can only last where human rights are respected, where the people are fed, and where individuals and nations are free. We must pray affirmatively for that. Remember, we have a purpose. And now, Spirit of Life, I give thanks for the opportunities of love that present themselves in a time of turmoil, where the light catches the tears in another's eyes, where hands are held, and there are moments without words. Let us be present then and alive to the possibility of changing. Let us seek to make another's well-being the object of our concern. Let us seek to be present to another's path, to bathe another's wounds, hear another's sadness, and celebrate another's success. Allow the other's story to change our own. Let us stand in the morning on damp grass, hear the syllables of bird song, and fill up in the sweet air that rolls over oceans and continents. Let us look up at the stars and the planets that fill the night sky with majesty. Let us witness the first fresh buds of spring amid the brown sticks of winter. And for all this, let us be grateful. Let us not defend ourselves against the discomfort of emotion, nor seek to close down our hearts for fear a new love will come to shake our foundation. Let us instead be open to discovering a new way of seeing the old problem or appreciating the perfection of seashell, the possibility of friendship. For in giving ourselves to what we do not understand, we receive life's blessings. And in taking care of another, we are cared for. And so it is.
We acknowledge the performers, writers, composers, and videographers that added their talents to this service.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely,
Does
yeah.
Cliff have his sheet music now? I'm
All
just
on
kidding.
you, girl.
All right, here we go. A 1 and 2 and a 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Rochelle. Happy birthday to you. And many more. And your kidneys too.
I have a lizard. Yes.
Somebody's a lizard? We had a lizard singing
This
with
is
us?
this is Deeks, the new male. I got it a couple weeks
Aw.
ago. I'm gonna mate him with
Aw.
my girls.
Ah,
Oh,
no more lizards.
You should
I
see
don't
his
think-
tummy. His tummy is blue to attract the male, to attract the
Oh.
females.
Wow.
all right then.
Very nice.
He also licks everything. For some
Even
reason.
birthday cake?
No.
About those-
Anything new to him, he just licks.
Aw.
I have no idea.
What's his name?
Deeks.
Eeks?
Deeks.
Oh,
Hey,
Deeks.
where
Deeks.
you get these names at?
Oh,
Where you find names like that?
everywhere.
Everywhere. I want to show something.
Okay, here's some.
Uh-oh. Now you got her going.
Okay, thanks, Grandma.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right.
Well, it's good to have you all join us here today. And as I said, if you enjoyed what we had to share, the video may not be exactly like we did it because of copyright issues, even though we pay an annual fee to have access. Some of those still are not granted. But
Wait until.
if you want to share it with somebody else, please do. I think this is an important opportunity for all of us to stop and think, who are we going to be kind to today and tomorrow? And can we begin with being kind to ourselves? All right, dear, now what?
This is Sasha, the big lizard that I'm gonna mate the male with.
Oh my goodness.
No, her?
Okay. we
This
got-
is a grown up. And then I'm gonna show you a baby.
Got a
This
whole
is how
lizard.
small the baby is. Very
Oh, that is a baby.
Wow.
Yes.
for some
wonderful.
reason it has very soft scales.
Okay.
Because it's a baby.
Yeah, I guess so.
Babies are soft.
Also, because do you know these are actually Western fence lizards? I just found out that they actually are all Western fence lizards.
Okay.
And the babies and all the grown-ups have really small but really pointy teeth.
Ah.
Cool.
Oh, that's good to know too.
Right.
Now,
And the
Barb-
babies, for some reason, the babies, when the babies bite, it hurts more than the adults. I don't know why.
Like sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Baby teeth.
Ow.
Nana Barb,
Don't put that finger in that mouth.
Nana Barb, I think you may want to buy a couple of those for your granddaughters.
They're actually very
You know
good
what?
pets.
They already have this big cage with, I guess it's a gecko or something in it,
Oh,
really?
wow.
and camouflages and stuff. So
What does it look like?
It's kind of green and it's pretty good
That big?
size.
Wow, that's pretty big.
Is she still on? Like, log off.